What's up, everybody? Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Let's Build series. I know, it's been a while, but we're back on the Let's Build series, and I'm going to be continuing this build that we started a while back, but I never really did much else with, because as some of you are aware, I've recently been changing up my schedule, and I'm focusing a bit more on Space Engineers type stuff, so we're going to be bringing back the Let's Build series. So I'm going to pick up where I left off with this, however, I'm going to be making a couple of changes. It's been a while, and I've since kind of taken another look at the design idea of the ship and sort of redesigned it a little bit. I do kind of like how the nose is sitting, and if you'll recall, this is still a small scale, small ship grid version, hence, you know, the size of the ship, but I intend to do this in a large grid version. We're just going to be doing some basic planning and trying to space out kind of ratios and things like that. But the front I'm going to probably keep fairly similar. I kind of like the ratio, the taper edge there. I'm going to turn my lights on. That's better. I thought I had my lights on already. So I kind of think I like the tapered edge to this ship. I obviously was messing around with changing it at one point, because there's kind of overlapping angles going on here. However, the back is going to be almost entirely different, and that's mostly what I'm going to be working on this episode, is kind of getting a redesign set up. I was working on it in Blender. I was playing around with a 3D modeling idea just because I can make changes a little bit faster than redoing all of the blocks in Space Engineers. And while I do like this engine style of having an engine with a circle around it, I kind of ended up looking at, or kind of liking something like this. And this was a rough sketch idea that I did in Blender. I just threw some, materials on it and stuff like that, but overall, I kind of like the design, and the back edge curve here that you're seeing, you'll notice there's a reflection. That's going to be glass, which I thought would be a really cool, different kind of ship design. So I'm going to see if I can kind of replicate that a little bit here, or not. It might take me a minute, though. Let's see, do we have... Alright, so we have the mirror plane going on. I think that'll work for the most part. So let me go ahead and clean this up. The first thing I'm going to do, actually, is remove this section here so that we can basically just cut it. And we don't have to mess around with actually redoing this whole back edge. We can just basically start over like that. Alright, so, actually this whole entire thing is going to be set up a little bit differently now. It goes even further than that. So let me go ahead and clean this up a second, and I'll see if I can get us in a better starting position before we pick back up again. Alright, so we're getting there a little bit. As you can see, again, if you refer back to the images I threw up, kind of similar stuff going on. By the way, I do have the paint gun tool added, or mod, just so that it's easier to get in or around things when we decide to actually start painting things. So you can see, I'll also probably be using it as like a pointer. But basically, we've got our... actually, let's use this for a second, and let's just mark some of this so we know. Oh, the mirror applies to it too. Cool. Crap. Is there a way? No. Alright. It is kind of cool that you can see the color readout. Oop! Something happened here. Not sure how that happened. There we go. But yeah, so basically these would end up being the thrusters type thing. One of these days I will get it correctly without having to repaint stuff. Not that it really matters at the moment, but still, I just like to keep things kind of the way that they're going to go. Now, on that 3D model, it's designed as, the idea would be like a Star Destroyer-esque type thing. And I don't know if I'm going to keep these back ones on the side as thrusters, or possibly jump drives, or maybe even hangars, depending on the actual scope scale of the ship. How does this keep... Alright, you know what? Oh, it's the mirror mode. I'm an idiot. Alright. And for now, we'll just go ahead and paint that. Yeah, it was the mirror mode. And I liked the staggered effect. Damn it. I keep doing it. Keep doing it every time. I like the staggered effect of these engines, basically, where the top ones are kind of medium, the side ones are further out, and the bottom are the smallest. I think that gives it a cool kind of symmetry, or asymmetry, I suppose. And then this top part, now, like I said, the model that I did really wasn't to scale or anything like that, or at least it didn't have any sense of scale, so it kind of looked like this would be a small ship, like I did my old Star Destroyer style, and it was going to be like a cockpit. What I'd actually like is for that to be a multi-level bridge, where it looks like one glass pane, but there's actually a floor or two even in between, that kind of thing. So it's going to be bigger, but I do think I'm going to shorten it a little bit. I think it was a little tall on my 3D model sketch there. Now, to me, the defining feature to this ship, and I don't have the actual shape here correct, because basically it's gonna kind of follow the same height right about here, and then about here it's gonna taper down, but not as much over as I was originally intending. So I think something like this may be a bit more accurate to that one. But I think the defining feature, in my humble opinion, was the circular shaped, I don't know what you would even call it. I guess, wait, why is this a different color? I don't get it when it does this, because it's like I came up here and I picked this color, but yet it's separating the textures as if they're two different colors. Whatever. We're going to repaint it all anyway. But actually, we're not even going to build on this one. This was just our test design layout model. So the other thing, though, that, like I said, the thing that I found to what I considered to be the defining... Ooh, maybe right there would actually work for a starting point. Let's see. Now, curves are not my forte in Space Engineers, so you guys will probably have to bear with me on this one, especially when we start getting into the actual build, and not just playing around doing a layout. That's too tall. That I think's about right. So about here, let's just do a rough draft version. Alright, so for now, let me grab a inverted corner and a corner. I struggle with the scrolling, the ability to scroll back and forth. I like it on paper, but I tend to end up having to fiddle around with it more than I would care to. So let's just do like this, and I think we'll just bring it around. I think that'll give us enough of a reference point. We don't really need to make it perfectly accurate. Just kind of give us a ballpark of how we'll want to go about doing this. But basically, the idea that I had was I wanted to do something that was kind of Star Destroyer-esque, but I've already done Star Destroyer-like ships before, and they can be a little dull. That doesn't come out far enough. Anyways, you get the idea. So I think this is gonna be how I would tackle that, something similar to that, only in the large grid we'll end up taking more time and trying to really carefully kind of curve it a bit more. This is just kind of more of a placeholder. But the idea here would be, if this was a large ship, that this inner ring would have a glass window going all the way around it. And once again, much like the bridge would have multiple floors, it wouldn't just be like one block, glass window, block above that. I want it to actually have like enough space for some larger like at least maybe 2 floors, and in this curve area there'll probably be stairs, more than likely. I don't know how many like actual rooms off to the side there would be. Again, while I explain this, I might throw up the graphic again just so you guys can see it. But basically, in all that reflective area, I want it to be like a 2-story or more. Probably 2 would be reasonable, and I think it's something that's achievable. And what I'd like to do is have just different rooms and stuff around there. What I'm thinking is some of the interior will be here, but I want to save some of this for the inner guts. Your refineries, your gyroscopes, your power plants, your reactors, all that kind of stuff. So most of your like room, you know, I don't know, captain's quarters is going to be back here. And it's hence on this slide here you can see that basically there's a glass panel on the back with this cool oval shape. I don't know that I'll be able to mimic that on the large grid or not, depending on how big it is, but that's going to essentially be like the captain's suite type thing, a big old captain's room. And I did that partially because I remember on old ships, like sailing ships, it was typically closer to the back. It wasn't like up on top, but it was towards the back of the ship would be kind of the captain's cabin kind of thing. You had the crew was kind of below deck, and then the captain's quarters was in the back. So I don't think that whole back ring will be the captain's room. That's a little excessive. But it would be that very back window would be kind of the captain's cabin. And then the outer rings would be stuff like the mess hall, I don't know, maybe even possibly an airlock or something like that. I'm kind of thinking the airlock should go over here. I'm not really sure why. I just think it makes the most sense to have an airlock right around this area. Somewhere. Let's do it in, I don't know, blue. And let's do something like that. Would be kind of like an airlock area, I'm thinking. So yeah, that's kind of the idea, the overall idea, I think. But the tricky part is going to be this curve, and it's going to be this curve here, this kind of slope shape that goes along here. Like I said, I kind of changed up the design a little bit, and I didn't really leave a lot of room here, but it should probably kind of tilt down a little bit here. That's not going to be right. Okay, for this example, we'll just have to do it this way, because I didn't space every... Wait, no, I didn't do it right at all. All right, hold on. This is not correct. So if I do this... Oh, I need to go up and then do a corner. Would be how you would do this, I guess? That's a more shallow taper than I wanted. Oh, maybe I could use ramps here instead. Maybe that's what I'm missing. Let's grab light corner base. Where's the invert? There it is. So let's grab these. And I'm thinking... well, actually, let's start with the inverted here. So we'll do this one, we'll do that one, and then we'll put the outer edge going along this way, I think. I think that'll work. Oops, what am I doing? Should be this one. And I really don't know why when you have the... dagnabbit. Alright, so if I have that turned on, will it stay? I can never get the ramps to stay where I put them. Every time I recycle them, they're always like upside down and in weird spots. And I thought it was because of... yeah, no, it's still backwards. It just, they don't work. They never stay where I put them. But yeah, so that's kind of the basic idea. And I would kind of do something like that, but maybe the other direction. I think I was building that the wrong way, because that's not really tapering the way that I wanted it to. But But hopefully, like I said, from the clip or the slide there, I hope you guys kind of get the idea of what I'm going for. Who knows if it'll actually come out looking like that or not. But I think that'll give it a little bit more of a unique design compared to what I was going for before, which was pointed out multiple times, and I can't disagree. Like, that was initially kind of the inspiration behind it in the first place, was the, oh crap, that's what happened. Okay. I was building up here, and I added extras with the mirror. Dagnabbit! Alright, I don't remember how many spaces out we were going. Was it 4? There we go. Alright, so now I need to turn this off, and then we can tinker with this. That's what happened before. I do kind of want the underbelly to be slightly more angled. Or slightly less of an angle, I guess, is the more accurate term. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. So this is what? 6? Alright, so that's 4, 5, 6. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see what that ends up looking like. Oh wait, what happened here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it was never filled in. Okay. So I do think I want the underbelly to be a slightly more shallow angle and the front to be a little more drastic. I mean, I kind of feel like that's a little bit on the typical side for ship design. Typically, the hull is a little bit more... I mean, in spaceships anyway. Like, Star Destroyers, not so much, but they are a little bit. They have more stacked on top of them. Now, let's see. Do we need... I don't think we need all this here. Let's see what that looks like. I really kind of want to get the contour correct. Yeah, I think that's about good on the underbelly. On the top, I might want to bring this back in a little bit, maybe by like 1. But essentially, what I want to happen, let's see, maybe we'll add 1 here just to hold on to it. Let's see if that's a little bit better. Nah, that's a little too sharp. What I need it to be is a bit more shallow, but that's okay. Again, this isn't really like the actual build. I'll probably start on it soon though, because with that 3D model I have a pretty good idea of the kind of design that I want to go for. It's more just laying out the taper and contour. The bottom I'm happy with. I'm good with the bottom. The bottom looks like the angles that I want. The top I want to bring the curve a bit more... how do I put this? It doesn't look naturally connected enough. Like, I want it to be less straight up and over and more of a curve. So if I did more of a curve shape, I'd probably be happier with this, but with the way it looks a bit too straight for this curve edge. So I want this to kind of curve over, and then that to start there and kind of curve around is the idea, which, again, being that this was just placeholder, I didn't really spend much time doing. Alright, so I was working on laying out the large grid frame, and I think I've got it pretty good. I think the ratio seems about right. Again, the bottom is a little bit more tapered, a little more shallow. The top one is a little bit taller, and the angle is more steep. And there's also this flattened area where basically the bridge is going to go. So I feel like I kind of mirrored it fairly similar. However, looking at this, the top does seem to be a bit longer of a ratio. In that, well, actually, let's do some quick math here. So if we have, what would this be? Basically 26 from front to back. And then this is 10. So it's a little, let's see, 10 to 20 would be half, but 26 is a little bit less than half. And according to the way I did this, I started off with 100 block, or 101, and I think I ended up with 144 to fit this length of this curve. Which I suppose may or may not be necessary. Oh, 145. How did I do that? I was trying to keep them odd. I like keeping things odd numbered, because it allows for, well, I could do like this and cut it down to 144. No, actually 145 would work. That would make it odd. But, I don't think it comes out far enough. My eyeball says, you know, I'm not the most scientific person about some of the stuff. Some of it's just eyeball. But my eyeball says the front part needs to come to about there. Would be, or maybe even there, I think. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that where I was pointing? Yeah, I think right about there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those segments I might need to trim down. Let's see what that would look like. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and out to 5. I don't know, that might be a little too far. Maybe cut it down to 4, and then see what kind of shape we get when we have to taper it down that from there. Because I just noticed that over here, this one has a much longer top part here, and it cuts a bit more steep. So I think that might be a little bit more accurate. Actually, I probably could get away with 5, but let's see what this does. Now we're gonna have to shorten this. At the moment, I was using a 6 block space. Let's try, I don't know, 4, maybe. So we'll build 5 blocks. It'll leave 4 spaced out. And let's see what that does, I suppose. Alright, so here's both versions, and I'm almost leaning towards somewhere in the middle. This might have been a little too far in terms of trying to straighten out the edge. Maybe only taking 2 or 3 segments out would be better, because I feel like this one down here is just, it's a little too straight now. It doesn't taper enough, and the angle's a little too sharp, but I don't know. I think so. I think it's a little too much. I'm thinking so. Let's try maybe doing a 3rd one. Let's go ahead and grab our 7 one up here. And I'm finding the value in just basically cutting and pasting various different ones. Because, you know, that way you don't have to... Let's see, let's actually do something a little bit weird. So we took out, I think it was 4 or maybe 5. I'm not sure. Let's actually try and do 1, 2... Let's do 2 and like a half. Which would be about there. And now start bringing it down. And let's do, instead of 4, let's do a 5 block down and see where that gets us. Because I feel like that might actually work. Because like I said, I think the 7 or 6, I know I'm doing 6, but again, it's because this one back here, so it's only leaving 5 spaces. But the one below us where we had 6 spacing, I think it's just a little too short on the top. The angle's a little too shallow for me, for what I want to do with it. So I'm thinking maybe this might be a sweet spot. and this might actually end up working. I'm not really 100% sure. Whew, okay, so that one's done. Let's actually take a step back here and give it a look. That's not too bad. I think I have to fix the nose a little bit. The nose is a little bit jumbled because I tried to match the bottom into the top part, and we changed the numbers around, so it's a little off on the nose, but I don't know. I think the top one is probably the one I'm leaning towards, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think I'm going to probably cut this one a little bit short and wrap this up here, because this part's pretty important of getting the base fuselage hull shape correct. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about all this. Which one you prefer. Let's call the top one A, middle one B, bottom one C. Keep it simple. So A, B, C. Which one you think is more in line with the concept drawing? Which one do you like better? Etc. and so on. I think all of them could work, but I am trying to make sure I give myself enough room to make the bridge stand out correctly and have enough room that the bridge can be like a multi-floored a shape kind of thing. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Let me know if you want to see more on the Let's Build series and so forth in the future, because that's going to probably be incorporated into my schedule for the moment, unless you guys start, telling me you don't want to see anymore and would rather do something else. So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here for this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.